Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Championship 2024 qualifier. Jordan Kent, and joining me are two of the finest commentators and analysts when it comes to this game. We've got EE and we've got Charles, and it's been a beautiful day here in Seattle, Washington. Charles had some delicious French toast. EE, you saw a boat, so I know you're ready to go here. But this is our second weekend of action, and last weekend we saw the Southeast and the Southwest compete. Today will be the Northeast and the Northwest. And let's start with you, EE. What have you enjoyed the most over the competition we've been seeing?
Well, I'll tell you what, you mentioned the boats, man. It's only right that we sail in some good competition. Last week was awesome. We saw Teapot take it with Terry, and then Zach with Bowser Jr. Very unique characters. I feel like we're going to get the same here. When I look at this character diversity, it just lets me know, Jordan, that the online scene is alive and well.
And Charles, you were reiterating a lot of these same things that EE was saying. You love the fact that we're seeing so many different fighters on display, and more on that a little bit later because we have some surprises coming your way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And here in the northern region, we got some stronger fighters coming through, especially that Daisy. That Steve is a character that, you know, amongst the competitive scene, really viewed as the strongest character in the game. So we have two Steves already lined up for the northern regions. Really excited to see how Steve is going to do alongside of these other fighters. Plus, we do have some curveballs already. We have the Lucario and the Wii Fit locked in for this very first region we're about to go over. So really excited to see that, Jordan.
And one massive curveball coming your way a little bit later here. But let's check out the bracket for the Northeast region. We'll be starting with that part here in a moment. We have Mikasa, Steven Yu, Numbers, Armadillo, EE. You know a lot of these faces. You're excited to see them.
I very much so am. I actually like the fact that Mikasa is lined up against Steven Yu because I think Daisy, a.k.a. Peach, does very, very well in that matchup, so that could be very exciting. And, of course, Numbers and Armadillo, kind of staples in our competitive scene, so to see them make an appearance in a bracket like this, again, let you know, online scene, great practice grounds, and, of course, who doesn't like to compete at a Nintendo event?
And obviously, we'll get a chance to see many different fighters throughout the way. But the rules, it's very simple. It's double elimination. We'll have a winner's bracket followed by a loser's bracket, then a grand finals, an opportunity to possibly reset the bracket if that representative from the loser side can knock off the winner. 1v1, best of 3, as we mentioned, random stage selection. Want to keep that in mind as well, too, so no counter picks going on there. So as we get set for our very first match here in just a moment, Charles, it's interesting. You mentioned Steve, and Steve, if you look at a lot of tier list rising to the top, that S+ or S++, whatever ranking you want to give him. What has made Steve such a dangerous fighter for people to try and take on?
Just a really strong base strategy. Steve goes ahead and collects a lot of different resources, especially that diamond. When you go ahead and upgrade to that diamond weapon, so powerful in terms of damage output and that knockback, right? Then you also are getting other materials like iron to have very powerful moves, access to these powerful moves like the minecart, like the anvil, and those moves can really turn the tide of a battle. And
it's fascinating because we have a Lucario, we have a Wii Fit trainer, and looking at Numbers and Wii Fit trainer, those two have been side by side over the last 4 or 5 years, it feels like.
Yep.
What makes Wii Fit trainer such a unique pick for Numbers?
You know, Wii Fit in general is just a fringe pick, right? Because not everybody pilots a character like Wii Fit at a high level. John Numbers is somebody who's been doing it for so long. I can't even remember him ever picking up another character, Jordan. It's been that long. And when you're able to kind of master a strategy to that level, it does pay dividends. As you can see, he's seated in winner's semis for the next matchup.
Steven Yu versus Mikasa as we get started, and as you have it, Steve versus Daisy. And Daisy here, Charles, you know you're going to have a lot of opportunities for some massive combos if you can win in that advantage stage.
Yeah, we'll see if Steven Yu can go ahead and wall out these aerial approach coming out from Daisy. Daisy has one of the most unique mechanics in Super Smash Bros. It's going to be that float mechanic, right? You can really stay in the air and choose when you want to come in with what aerial, as well as getting the different turnips, right? So you can stand back as Steve is mining to have some different options.
Slight advantage right now for Mikasa, doing an excellent job here, EE, of controlling the stage, which is hard to do against Steve.
Oh, 100%. Mikasa understands, like, you know, Steve is not the character. You have to have calculated patience, right? Because you don't want to give too much space and allow for all that mining to take place. But a character like Daisy, able to have good rush down ability, and you're seeing it pay off very much so here. Triple digits already for this Steve. Searching for an answer that may not come.
Mikasa close to getting the KO, trying to pursue and take the first stock from Steven Yu. Steven Yu hasn't really got comfortable, takes the first one just like that, Charles.
Great movement coming out from Mikasa, and that's what you want with the Daisy. You want to maneuver around Steve. Steve has very powerful items and so much scaling with the resources, but mobility is not on the side of Steven.
And obviously, if you're Steve, you got to try and get to that diamond. That's going to make a huge difference. It makes a huge difference in relationships as well, too, EE. But so far, cannot get to those resources, finally getting an opportunity. But Mikasa trying to hang on strong still in that first stop.
Did an excellent job explaining why I'm still single, Jordan, and some single digits in percent
I'm just trying
right
to help
now.
you out as a wingman, brother.
Steven Yu, and actually not a bad position at all. Still has an opportunity. I mean, you see Diamond Mine, you see the gold as well. Just got to get an opportunity to really craft those up, get those weapons online, and slay off this first stock for a big KO. And there it is, right on cue, Jordan.
And Charles, it's been impressive. Steven took the early KO, but was able to really rally back after that first stock, and here we are nearly even.
Yeah, Mikasa going to do a great job here. That Daisy Bomber so nice against all of the materials that Steve goes ahead and puts on up here. More and more health. As long as they're not dirt blocks, they're going to have higher health pools here, so that is something to keep in mind. Mikasa doing a really great job of maneuvering against all these materials here, but that, wow, yeah, that pickaxe, the fair and the bear just control so much aerial space here for Steven Yu.
And it's interesting, Mikasa now playing a little bit more careful at this point, not trying to be as aggressive because understanding that Steven's starting to get comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, once you get a little bit of an advantage, you can briefly take your foot off the gas because understanding, okay, advantage state right now, you are tasked to make the comeback right now, and look at this percentage and continue to climb up. It's going to be a lot of damage that he's going to have to make up, especially on a stage like Yoshi's as well. Not the most generous blast zones, which you can see Mikasa well aware of.
Key KO for Mikasa takes Steven Yu down to the final stock, and Charles was doing an excellent job of avoiding those mine carts and finding those opportunities.
Yeah, the main thing you want to really keep in mind is those iron resource moves, right? Anything like the minecart, like the anvil, those are the most powerful moves, or one of the most powerful moves for Steve's arsenal here. So when you avoid all of that, like Mikasa's doing now, lapping in percent, and keep an eye on the materials above the stock count here. I mean, just really running low is Steven Yu on these materials, and it's just Mikasa doing a really good job of weaving in, weaving out, knowing when to put the aggression and switch back to the defense.
And now we're seeing Mikasa really switch to that offense, and now has got Steven Yu on the ropes here. EE, is this enough to take it? Yes. First game goes the way of Mikasa. We saw that shift from defense to offense. Yeah. Very wise about when to step on the gas and when to hit the brakes.
There are so many times where, and I think Steve really benefits from this. He is the best character in the game, in my opinion, or best fighter in the game. But what he benefits from is people not having the right knowledge on how to approach the character. Mikasa, no ignorance in that matchup at all. I saw a very calculated game plan from start to finish, executed well, and you see the benefit at 2 stock to open up winner semis.
And Charles, I'm curious, you mentioned the float mechanic for Daisy and Peach. How much does that help them as far as maneuvering any particular stage and some of the blocks that get in the way as we get set for the second game?
Oh, it helps a ton, and really you're able to take your time, and it just, there's so many windows when you can come in through the air, and of course being able to fade in and out. Any movement option that you can go and make it non-committal is going to be very strong in Smash Brothers.
And a string of up airs will all of a sudden rack up the damage against Mikasa. Steven Yu taking the early advantage, but right comes Mikasa back in this, and now they're pretty even. A quick sprint to nearly 80% damage for both here, EE.
Yeah, I like that a lot, actually, especially for Steven Yu, because one of the issues was that last game just getting overwhelmed way too quickly. Again, you're Steve, play to your strengths. I'd like to see a little bit more anvil usage as well. Maybe the material's not on his side in that first game, but yeah, you've got to make sure your mining is on point and save and grace that block, because without it, I think 2 times, Jordan, that might have been the KO. 3rd time, as we know, though, tends to be the charm.
And an early stock taken again from Mikasa. This is where we saw things start to even up last time, Charles. It feels like Mikasa needs to continue to be aggressive here.
Yeah, and because Mikasa knows that the materials aren't really ready to go, going to keep on the aggression. And there's so many times where you can switch back and forth. Like we were talking about earlier, the up smash barely going to whiff here. And Mikasa knowing, hey, there's certain points where if the Steve already has the diamond, I can take my time. When the Steve doesn't have the diamond and these resources are more along the dirt and the wood side, that's when you can be more aggressive because the blocks have less health.
See the TNT coming out, trying to get the ledge trap. No luck there. Mikasa able to avoid it. Gets to the middle of the stage. Has that turnip ready to go. Gives a serving of vegetables to Steven Yu, but Steven Yu still holding on to the middle. But Mikasa starting to rack up the damage here, EE.
Yeah, Mikasa is right now just in such a strong position. It's just really like, okay, now I'm sensing you're feeling a little weak right now. I'm going to continue to leverage this advantage and keep the pressure on. Even getting battered around there, you're not getting the KO, so it really doesn't matter. Mikasa has no reason not to just come back down and keep applying pressure. A lot of stage control belonging to Mikasa as well, and Steven Yu, man, I don't know. It's looking a little grim right now.
Mikasa still staying alive at 160. There's got to be pockets in that dress, somehow staying on the stage at this point. Steven Yu finally able to take the first stock. However, Mikasa getting the damage done here, Charles.
Yeah, and look at the resources. Steven Yu does not have a lot of iron, not a lot of anything really, and then there goes the crafting table as well. You need to go ahead and destroy the crafting table. Steve is forced to make another one, which takes even more material. So again, Mikasa really knows about all the resource management on the opponent's side.
Mikasa with the one-game lead already will advance in our bracket if they can take this second game. Steven Yu trying to hang on. Second stock goes down. Mikasa with a sizable lead here, EE.
Yeah, that back air was so perfectly placed and sizable. That might be an understatement, Jordan. This is a dominating performance from Mikasa, who continues to not let any of this pressure unrelenting, jailed on the right side right now. Is there any escape? You're going to have to pay that percentage tax just to get back.
Steven Yu can't build a comeback at this moment, just struggling to get back on the stage. Total domination by Mikasa. Finally, Steven Yu able to get into the middle of the stage, but here Charles has an uphill battle, certainly with the remaining part of this game.
Yeah, and finally we see Mikasa get hit by one anvil, but the thing is, if Steve can't really land a lot of these iron options, it's going to be hard. You're going to be looking for a space back there, a forward smash maybe, but Mikasa's doing such a great job, and of course the back air is going to do the trick, and even if you're holding shield, looked like the shield poke was eminent nonetheless. Mikasa just dancing around with this float movement.
Dominant, as you said here, EE, and just the ability to manipulate your movement in the air. It really made Mikasa a difficult target to hit, and we just saw the accuracy seem to have an answer for anything that Steven Yu was trying to build there.
Yeah, I mean, when you're in a situation where you're getting pressured that much, you cannot get any of your resources, set up any kind of like comfortable barrier strategy, it's going to be a very, very long set, well, a short set in that case, but you know what I mean, like the battle itself, it can be very grueling. So Mikasa came in very prepared, and Steven Yu just no answers. It happens sometimes.
First match in the books as Mikasa advances 2-0 over Steven Yu. We'll pull up that bracket here in just a moment as we take a look at the path to the grand finals. So that'll send Steven Yu down to loser semifinals. And it sets the stage for Numbers versus Armadillo. And as we are very well aware, Numbers with that Wii Fit trainer, but Armadillo with Lucario. And you are our Pokemon master on the panel here, Charles. And so Lucario, obviously playing with Aura, that is one of the unique mechanics. How do you best manage that, knowing that the more damage I take, the more I can put out, but that obviously makes me an easier target to KO?
Yeah, it's a really weird balance because right when the game starts, both players are at 0%, so Lucario doesn't have the craziest amount of damage output right in the beginning, but you still don't want to take damage on purpose, right? So it's a really weird balance, and on top of that, there is the rage mechanic just built into Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, so sometimes you can go ahead and stack both of those in your favor, especially with Aura, and Lucario is the comeback character, Jordan, so very fun to watch.
And it's interesting, you've got some poking options on both sides here with Wii Fit Trainer, and it feels like it just has a little bit more reach in that ground, in that neutral. This would be a very interesting matchup against Lucario.
Yeah, too, and also Numbers you're going to see with Wii Fit, not going to be afraid to kind of challenge Lucario off stage, especially. Like, there is a hitbox on that extreme speed recovery now, but Wii Fit has a number of ways to just kind of interrupt that, you know, whether it be the header attack, sun salutation, a number of tools to go off there. And a lot of times, sometimes that nair is enough to get the job done. This character's got a lot of physicality that people don't often appreciate.
Where does Lucario have the advantage here? Because obviously the speed advantage on the ground is going to Wii Fit Trainer. Where does Lucario find the edge?
This matchup is going to be interesting because both characters have some kind of charge move, right? The Sun Salutation and the Aura Sphere. So it'll be both of them kind of using their projectiles, really trying to leverage one or the other. Lucario definitely needs to shield pressure Wii Fit in the front of the shield because the back air out of shield so fast. And as long as Lucario can hold on to the stock, that's the main thing Lucario players always looking in any matchup. How can I live as long as possible and not lose that stock so I can take advantage of that aura as long as possible, really avoiding the main KO setups from Wii Fit, which is going to be that back air out of shield, really big one to look out for, and any of these stray tilt or smash attacks.
And EE, diving deeper into the fundies here, you're Lucario. You're sitting at plus 100%. You know that's exactly how you want to play. What's the best way to stay alive during that moment to avoid that KO?
Oh, man. Honestly, it's going to be a lot of taking advantage of your Aura Sphere, right? That is a great projectile that puts on so much pressure. And then, too, if you're spamming that out enough times, you might be bold enough to run up there, get a Force Palm, which will go through the shield, and it lends itself to easy KOs, especially, you said it, Jordan, I'm at 100 and some %. Oh, I'm feeling pretty good.
And already, Armadillo nearly at 100%, and we are less than 20 seconds in. Wow, you blinked, you missed it. Numbers taking the first stock, Charles.
Oh man, what a beautiful edge guard. And again, the main thing for Numbers is getting the stock as early as possible. And Armadillo not even getting to the triple digits on that first stock here. There's the Aura Sphere, but again, because of this, Lucario can snowball in the opposite direction. You lost that first stock early and you're reset back to low percents where your damage output is now nerfed.
Armadillo trying to incorporate a little bit of edge guarding here. No luck as Numbers gets back onto the stage, then sends Armadillo flying, and we've seen already what Numbers can do in advantage here, EE.
Hey, what did I tell you? Like, off the stage, that is where you're going to see Numbers elect to just be very aggressive, paid off big time in getting that first KO, and now continuing to tack on all kinds of damage. Lucario obviously going to benefit a lot from this kind of percentage, but, you know, it doesn't oftentimes make a difference if you can't actually get the hit on somebody.
And that's a key point, Charles. If you are Armadillo, you've got to get this KO right now and then try to make a comeback in that second stock.
Yeah, losing your stock is so huge here. The dash attack from the corner, great burst option coming out from Armadillo. The great thing about Aura that doesn't really universalize for Rage is with Aura, your moves actually get bigger as well in terms of hitboxes. So that Aura Sphere is going to take up a lot of the map here with such high percent. 144 draw Numbers trying to get this stock. The forward tilt, really active hitbox there right at the ledge.
Armadillo didn't even connect with a single hit on Numbers' second stock. That's exactly how you want to do it if you want to snuff it out if you're Numbers.
And he's smart too, doing a lot of stalling with the deep breathing as well when he's in the air or off stage. That is a great way to kind of disrupt the edge guarding Armadillo might be going for, trying to get some of those additional hits tacked on. He's really playing so far from behind right now. It's making it that much more difficult. But that
Wait a second.
Was that forward smash?
That was forward smash.
That was just raw? Okay. Wow.
Hard read on the edge is really even this thing up. Rising Fist, Armadillo now at 114. Oh, how about the read by Numbers as Armadillo was trying to recover, and Charles, Numbers expertly at the right spot at the right time.
Oh yeah, and that's the one thing that's really weird about Wii Fit. There's a bunch of different hitboxes,
yes,
right? So
you don't
that
know where
forward
you're
tilt,
going.
right? That forward tilt has the backside hitbox that sends up. There's also the forward side that sends forward. So there's a bunch of different hitboxes. Even jab, Wii Fit will kick behind and then also jab in front. So very wonky character with a very unique set of hitboxes there.
Yeah, that was very, very quick, that first stock, especially EE. And for Numbers, you know how daring he wants to be off stage.
Well, you understand too, like, he knows the threat of Lucario. Like, he knows what this character is capable of, especially if he can hang around at those later percentages with all that aura and the rage, to Charles's point. But the fact that Numbers is willing to commit that hard tells me that this is going to be a challenge for Armadillo, which hopefully maybe he can overcome with a home field advantage here in Pokemon Stadium.
They'll rack it back up here for the second game. Numbers, one victory here will send them into winners finals, and we saw those stocks go pretty quickly, and really for Armadillo, Charles didn't get much time to use that aura in the last game.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of aura towards the end. The great thing about aura is not only does it count 4%, but if you're down a stock as well, some of your aura will activate, and especially more so on that last stock there, still not enough to bring it back. John Numbers was just able to get that lead and take it as far as possible.
So far, much better start this time around for Armadillo. Sends Numbers off the stage. Numbers trying to recover, a little bit of deep breathing coming out, but right back into the middle of the stage, trying to establish control is Armadillo, and you like how they're coming out the gate here, EE.
I really do. This is a much better performance for sure for Armadillo within like the first 30 seconds or so. Really tacking on a good amount of percentage on Numbers, who's kind of thinking twice a little bit, but notice, gets that deep breathing. That's a good little stat boost for Wii Fit, going to boost all that speed and those properties. Something they really enjoy. Maybe steal this stock away first.
Deep breathing still in effect here. Numbers trying to get back on the stage, on the ledge at this moment. Armadillo still in somewhat control, but we've seen how quickly Numbers can get that KO near 100%. Nearly gets another one there, Charles.
Okay, but we got a bit of rage here, and there's the Aura Sphere doing a lot of work and a little fancy footwork there with that B reverse. Armadillo ending that first stock in style.
And last time, EE, this is when we saw Armadillo not take a single percent here with Aura. We'll see if they can do a better job this time around, and so far a little bit more effective. Able to stay away from the KO, now just needs to recover.
I actually like the attempt right there. In case the header soccer ball did connect, the double team would have definitely made that null and void. So playing a lot smarter right now is Armadillo, and utilizing the fact, okay, I got all this Aura, let me put it to work. Look at that 55% already tacked on to Numbers, and we are still surviving, Jordan.
to your point, able to hang on at 174, but just racking up the damage against Numbers with that one stock lead. This is how you script it if you're Armadillo, Charles.
Yeah, and that Aura Sphere is getting quite large. And the great thing about Aura Sphere is while it's charging, it does have a hitbox as well. So you kind of see Armadillo trying to set up that charge into some kind of rising aerial combo here, just trying to poke away at some damage with the forward tilt. Another dash attack, unexpected on the side of Armadillo, racking up so much already, 85%, but the trade finally going in the favor, no, of Armadillo. They both get KO'd off the top there.
And that was a huge trade at that moment. Now it's 2-1, and if you are Armadillo, you're sitting pretty. Now it's just a matter of racking up that damage here, EE, but you have to be mindful. We know how quickly Numbers can get those KOs.
Absolutely, and you gotta imagine like that first stop from the previous game still in the back of Armadillo's mind, but a lot of confidence should be there as well. Full control of this game. The super hoop getting absolutely obliterated. Good pressure coming out from Armadillo, but Numbers still trying to make this a bit of a contest. Not out of the woods just yet.
Numbers, a little bit of a juggle there on the ledge. Armadillo trying to fight to get back into the middle, and Numbers nearly a second KO. This time still seeking it out, but that's going to put Armadillo in Aura, and now you've got to make the next couple of hits if you can before losing the second stock, Charles. But who needs to lose that second stock when you get the KO? And how about the response from Armadillo?
Yeah, and I mean, Armadillo just doing a great job there. The up air to seal out the stock and holding on to two stocks with all that aura, with all that rage. And again, Lucario can just be such a crazy character because we saw that first game. Armadillo lost that first stock and snowballed not so much in his favor, but the second game, the exact opposite, Jordan.
Brings us to the third game in EE. It felt like the difference was how much more effective Armadillo was when they were getting Numbers to that second stock.
Sure.
Remember, that first game didn't take a single percentage. Second time around was able to take a full stock.
Yeah, complete like 180 performance, right? And that, of course, part of the difference maker. Another thing, too, like the fact that not overwhelmed within the first 30 seconds or so. Like, you got to stretch this match out as long as possible. I think Hollow Bastion for game number 3 is going to be a great proving ground for both of these guys.
Winner will advance to the winners finals. Loser will be sent down to loser semi. So Numbers, who we've seen before, a lot of success in these tournaments, trying to make their way into winners finals. And so far, it's another hot start for Armadillo, but not before Numbers is able to respond. And now it's somewhat even here, Charles.
Yeah, just going back and forth. And the main thing you got to watch out for how Armadillo really snowballs this first stock here. I mean, Numbers was able to start it off really well with that offstage edge guard against Armadillo in that game number 1, but you know Armadillo is looking out for those early openings.
So far, we see Armadillo trying to get back into the middle of the stage, but sent upwards by Numbers. Numbers doing a much better job right now, catching a lot of these landings, but now has to be very careful here, EE.
Yeah, and you can almost see a bit of sense of urgency from Numbers, like, okay, I need to get this KO quick, fast, and in a hurry before this war really starts to be a problem. Not quite there with the Sun Salutation, but positioning was looking good until that dash attack, the first option, keeping Armadillo alive.
And Armadillo now just looking for that opening at 130. You know any hit is going to do a lot of damage. A little bit of healing coming in here for Numbers. Numbers has to be very careful how they dance around here at this moment. So far, was doing a fine job, but has to take the hit there, Charles.
Both players just really playing on high alert here. This first stock is so important. Barely avoiding the Aura Sphere, and with the directional air dodge, Numbers is barely able to squeeze through and get that forward tilt at center stage.
Remarkable mobility on display by Numbers, and that is a huge KO because now Numbers has sent Armadillo back down to 0. Going to take a while to build up that aura, and now you can tack on some extra credit here.
Oh, 100%. Numbers needs to fully take advantage of this position and not really get caught by any stray smash attacks, because that's pretty much going to be the best option for Armadillo to get the KO right now. Numbers seemingly very well aware of that and continuing with this aggression. I love it. Lada, I'm going to wait for you to react, and then I'm going to strike. And look at all this damage being accrued right now, Jordan. This is absolutely insane.
Right now, already Numbers has sent Armadillo to 136 on their second stock. Has a chance to take a 2-stock lead. No. Armadillo responds, and now here comes the critical moment of this game here, Charles.
Yeah, this is going to be tough, though. Deep breathing just activated on the fresh spawn here. Armadillo really going to have to be careful. There's the down air. Almost gets KO'd from that high up. Okay, the Aura Sphere connects, the tech chase, not going to fully connect. There's the reset, but the Sun Salutation to finally put that second stock to rest, Jordan.
And Numbers with a Gigantic advantage at this point here, EE. What does Numbers need to keep in mind here trying to take this last stock?
Well, Lucario is the literal definition of if you still got a stock, you got a chance. Okay, this character thrives from its comeback mechanic abilities, and of course Armadillo, pretty much second to none when it comes to piloting this character from everything I've seen in the past. So very much so has an opportunity, but cannot let it get too out of hand, right? Because we understand how wonky Wii Fit can be with those KO options.
Armadillo trying to chase down Numbers, low off stage, almost took an early one there, Charles. Now, off the side of the stage, and we've got ourselves a game 3.
What an edge guard coming out from Armadillo, using the B-Reverse Aura Sphere to get that singular hit into the back air. One of Lucario's strongest moves here. Here's the up throw combinations, already 24%. And wow, this is going to go down to the wire, Jordan.
And that came off a beautiful parry as well, too. And so now Armadillo trying to hang in there. Aura is activated, but all of a sudden, Numbers is going to get a chance to try and catch you. Now it's Armadillo, control of the stage, sending Numbers off the stage. And at this point, EE, if you are Armadillo, you are starting to get a little bit closer to possibly sending Numbers into the KO zone.
I honestly think this is going to come down to somebody's landing just getting completely called out and just a smash attack being the finishing option right now. That is what I'm thinking. Like, fear will dictate who takes this round, and there's a lot of it to go around right now as Armadillo is on the hunt.
Armadillo trying to mount the comeback. Winner advances to winners finals. Numbers sends Armadillo off the stage. Armadillo trying to recover. Both players being very mindful. You see the shielding coming up. Here comes the grab from Numbers. Will this do it? No. Armadillo still staying alive here, Charles.
Oh, the high recovery back to center stage, resetting the neutral here. The poke with the forward tilt, throwing out some burst aerials. It's still not enough. Everyone just whiffing here, but the Aura Sphere is ready to go. The shield is so low. Is that Armadillo taking it with the down air out of shield?
Armadillo, how about the comeback? Was down 2 stocks to 1, but you said it, EE. If you are Lucario and you've got a stock, you've got a chance. Ends yoga class early and now will advance to winners semis, and you just love the tenacity and the patience as well, too. Didn't give up and really understood where they needed to connect.
This character benefits so much from just having, like, such a scrappy attitude in your gameplay, right? There's just no quit at all when it comes to Lucario players, and you see why there's always an opportunity to bring the match back. And you got to imagine somebody as seasoned as Armadillo has been in that situation so many times, just thinking like, all right, it's the hard way, but it's still a way.
And was able to get it done. And I think to your point, you mentioned, Charles, really able to connect on some of those great reads against Wii Fit Trainer, which can be hard because that's a very fast fighter. But at the end, you have the aura and you make all of your hits count.
Yeah, and I think Armadillo did a great job in the neutral. The great thing about Aura Sphere increasing the hit size of your moves, just the hitboxes of the moves, is your neutral has more options as well. That Aura Sphere is such a huge threat the bigger and bigger it gets. So great job on Armadillo, and also understanding that Wii Fit doesn't really have KO throws, right? Because of that, hiding in that shield as long as possible. We're having still very solid out-of-shield options. We even saw Armadillo do some more advanced things like the footstool out-of-shield into the down air. At the end there, just the regular down air out-of-shield was still enough center stage with all that aura.
And such a good point. We saw Armadillo get grabbed and was not able to be thrown into off the stage, and for the most part kept them alive to get enough hits to finally close out the game. So let's go ahead and check out the bracket as both fighters have wrapped up their action, and that'll set up Mikasa versus Armadillo. We're going to have Lucario taking on Daisy, and now things change a little bit, the approach for Lucario, because you've got a fighter in Daisy and Peach here, EE, that has a lot of approach options. We've talked about the float mechanic, combo game be very strong at this point. What does Armadillo need to keep in mind as you get set to take on Daisy and Peach?
You know what? It's going to come down to understanding, okay, combo food. I may be combo food right now. Like, I'm going to take a lot of damage, and sometimes at the beginning of it. The benefit to that, though, is you're seldomly going to eat the KO right at the start, right? So, okay, just got to reassess my position and really start throwing some combos back myself. Understand the fact, too, I got all this aura. Once again, let's take advantage of it. That's all this character is. Let's take advantage of the aura, okay? Let's turn the negatives of, oh my gosh, an 80% combo into, oh, that's 80%. I'm just juicing up right now. I'm ready to go. You know what I'm saying? So,
and Charles, I imagine it's very important if you are Mikasa to get those KOs as soon as you start to send Lucario into aura, because that's all that Lucario is really going to be able to have an advantage over you with, is that aura mechanic.
Yeah, usually against Lucario, it's not how you deal the damage, it's how you take the stock, right? That's going to be the most important phase of the game. And Daisy, very interesting because a lot of damage output, which could go into the favor of Lucario. Also, Daisy being a little lighter on her feet and just lighter in general when it comes to weight, between all the other fighters in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So you got to be really careful because Lucario can get your stocks extremely early percents if you're as light as someone like Daisy.
Yeah, this is going to be fascinating because obviously you've got a projectile option with that Aura Sphere, and you've got turn up for Daisy and Peach. And I imagine this is going to be whoever can control the stage later on will play a huge role into this, especially when you factor in the weight of Daisy and Peach.
And as always, like, float is such an advantage for this character too. Like Peach and Daisy having that float mechanic is such a unique aspect to, almost like how, you know, Lucario's aura is unique to him. So I do think some of the approaches from Armadillo could be, that's where you have to be safe, right? That's where you have to be safe and not get tripped up, because Daisy, again, like, sometimes it doesn't feel like the KOs are right there, but that fair comes out a lot quicker than you think. And then we saw that against Steven Yu. I mean, Mikasa advanced with a 2-0 in dominant fashion to get to this point, not playing around.
Well, how about the confidence for Armadillo right now, Charles? You're down 1-0. You rally back, take the last 2 games against Numbers, a very, very competent player, and now you've got to be feeling pretty good. You got to roll right into your next match also.
Yeah, and I think for Lucario, I think you'd rather go up against Peach just because you have, you know, just lighter, and you don't have to deal with deep breathing. Deep breathing is a very strong tool against Lucario because you just power up with deep breathing, right? And we saw John Numbers, even though the throws wasn't getting a KO, from the throw you could set up into deep breathing, you know, become more powerful to get rid of the stock. And for Peach and Daisy, not so much the case. So it'd be really interesting. And Peach and Daisy are very funny because it's a very meta character, very strong character, but can lose to a lot of not so popular characters, and I think Lucario definitely falls under that category.
Yeah, Lucario now sitting at the cool kids table, apparently, when it comes to the tier list and
It's
everything.
tough.
But this is why we love these tournaments. We're going to see everything. Don't you just wait until we show you one of the fighters in the Northwest region. But we see the switch to Peach, and now Peach taking on Lucario as we get set for our winners finals. And already we're starting to see, especially for Lucario, we mentioned not having to deal with deep breathing here. You can play at your own pace, it feels like. You don't have this mechanic that's going to all of a sudden change the way you might approach the other fighter.
No, not at all. And you don't have to feel guilty either if you do allow Peach to kind of get a combo string off and you take 30 or 40. That's just, you know, hazards of the job. It's going to happen. But as you can see, Lucario capable of doing some damage himself. You know, it's obviously not going to be to the extent of Peach, but even at those lower percents, all of it eventually ends up accruing and adding up. As you're seeing right there, that was a great string, and it continues on with that Aura Sphere. Loving the pressure from Armadillo right now.
And like you said, over the last 10 seconds, Armadillo all of a sudden taking control of this first game so far. Seems to have the stage control, but right back into it comes Mikasa here, Charles. And now we've seen a pretty honest opening gambit from both these fighters here for the most part.
And here we also have the grab here, trying to go for that B-reverse runoff. And again, the Aura Sphere doing a great job of controlling so much space, but that down smash setting up for a really good situation with the turn up in hand. Even more damage now into the triple digits here. Peach does have a handful of moves that can hit extremely hard, especially that up smash if Peach is able to connect it. But there's the force palm, and there's the sequence. There goes the stock, Jordan.
Youch is all I've got to say. So first stock goes down for Mikasa, and now for Armadillo. This is where you got to make it count. This is when you have to try and build that advantage for that next stock, and so far, Armadillo can't even get back on the stage.
Oh, yeah, well, you know what? It's fortunate, even at that higher percent, it's just going to boost up that extreme speed and give you even more distance on that recovery, making it from, I mean, just flirt with the blast zones, but not tasting it and still surviving. Small battlefield being very gracious to Lucario right now, as Armadillo does a great job in extending this lead, and that damage output only continues to get more scary.
Armadillo racks it up to 71 already, trying to lap Mikasa. Mikasa finally gets the KO, but not before taking a few hits here, Charles.
Yeah, already at 71% here. Armadillo getting so much value from that aura. I like how you pointed that out, E. The even increase in recovery, right? Just this character becomes stronger and stronger in almost every single aspect with more damage. And wow, Mikasa did a great job of hooking Armadillo up with that percentage. That was quick.
It really was. A couple of combos racked it up, and now Armadillo just shy of that aura really kicking in, and you see Mikasa get back onto the stage, blocks the Aura Sphere, avoids that, but all of a sudden has to take the dash on the other end, and so far Armadillo doing a nice job of maintaining the middle of the stage here.
Oh, 100%, and there's a lot of intimidation that goes in when you see an Aura Sphere that large, right? Like that is, you know, some Goku Spirit Bomb type stuff that you are just not trying to mess around with, so it will definitely add some intimidation. What I'm thinking is maybe Armadillo trying to catch Mikasa sitting in that shield, but we'll settle for a back air as well. Clears out that stock easily.
Armadillo one stock away from taking the first game in that aura, has an opportunity to build themselves a real nice advantage heading into the final stock, and now just chasing down Daisy and Peach. in hotter pursuit than Bowser typically over Daisy and Peach. And now you see it's just the aggressiveness stepping on the gas here, Charles.
Oh, yeah, getting all the hits of all the aerials here, but Mikasa keeping it close to even here, only down about 60% here. Not too much rage or aura for Armadillo to deal with here. Mikasa getting some of the damage, or some of the openers here, down air, but floating away off stage. The up airs have been doing so much work for Armadillo, especially that previous set. Got a lot of stocks against numbers with that move, but Mikasa doing a great job of avoiding it. Now off stage, the air dodge does not get caught. Oh, the extreme speed on the parasol would have been nice, Jordan.
And here we go. You see a couple of those reads. Mikasa doing a fine job of avoiding them from Armadillo, but we are essentially even on the final stock. Mikasa at 120, and now it's just going to be a matter of who can get the next little string going here.
Yeah, that force palm just being like an inch off of connecting would have absolutely put that stock to rest. But again, the aggression paying off for Armadillo makes it happen in game number 1.
And Charles, you have been calling it out, that Aura Sphere and the size of it. You saw caught Daisy and Peach, brought them in for a combo right at the end that set up the KO.
Yeah, and the great thing about Lucario is not only you have this huge hitbox being the Aura Sphere, especially when your Aura is boosted, there's a lot of air mobility with Lucario, and along with your special moves, you're able to manipulate and do all these B reverses, all this fancy movement. So you see Armadillo just bouncing left and right, and Peach is all about staying in the air. So if you can have these great air-to-air options like the Aura Sphere, Mikasa did a wonderful job not getting hit by too many, but at the very end there, finally gets caught by one.
Armadillo, if they take this game, they will move to grand finals. Yep. But Mikasa, as we've seen before, very competent and already getting things to 54%. What's the adjustment here for Mikasa and Peach after game 1 here?
Well, I would say, you know what, the percentage is going to come as we very much so know that, Jordan. But what you have to take advantage of, too, is when you see Lucario at 120, at 130, has to be a sense of we need to get this KO quick, fast, in a hurry. Because when this character is allowed to stay around as long, you see how that can just snowball out of control.
Grab out of shield into the back throw. Does an excellent job of creating a little bit of airspace. And now it's Mikasa control this stage and sniffs that one out in midair.
That was just a great interception too, right? Taking advantage of the fact that, okay, I've seen this extreme speed before. I know sometimes you like to be a little preemptive with the recovery. I'm just going to cut you off at the pass, and I'm going to enjoy a great lead. And you can see it, Jordan. This has all the makings of trying to take it to a game 3.
And Mikasa looking very comfortable at this point, chasing. Oh, before we say any more, sends Mikasa north. And now Armadillo sitting at 84%, tied at 2 stocks apiece. This is your opportunity to make that comeback. Just got to stay alive here and let that aura do its work.
100%. Nice. I like actually going for the air dodge back to the ledge instead of just going for the extreme speed. Understand there's a little bit of lag on that recovery, so you don't want to leave yourself vulnerable. Great hit on the Aura Sphere. This is really slick play right now from Armadillo, and good gracious.
Armadillo, don't call it a comeback now with a 2-1 stock lead. Mikasa has to get this KO quicker. This is going to be a rough final stock. Armadillo 1 game away from grand finals, chasing down Daisy and Peach. Oh, all of the aerials coming out, and now Mikasa can't land despite all that aerial mobility. Let's wrap it up. Armadillo moving on to grand finals, and that was a quick 2-0 against Mikasa, who we thought was looking like the heavy favorite coming in.
That force palm off stage was some nasty business to finish that off. And you'll notice one thing about Armadillo that's very interesting to me. Anytime he gets a situation where he's in the lead, he has that aura, he just takes, like, he becomes the aggressor. You notice the combo routes he kept choosing to use against Peach. Aggression, aggression, aggression. And then, oh, you're off the stage on the right side. Oh, you're trying to come back. No, I'm going to put these fists out right now, and that's going to be it.
And that's what really stood out to me. Mikasa could not land safely, had no opportunity to really get back on the stage and reestablish neutral, just had to really avoid Armadillo for the majority of that second game. And you saw, once you had Aura, you were just chasing down Daisy and Peach and just made life miserable for them.
Yeah, it's such an interesting decision, too, because you understand, like, okay, so, you know, sometimes Lucario players, they'll elect to be a little more passive, like, all right, well, you have to come to me, you know what I'm saying? He was like, no, I'm going to bring the fight to you because I understand my advantage state. What I have right now is going to put the fear in you, and sometimes that can be enough. Well played by Armadillo.
And obviously when we check out the bracket, you'll see the fact that Armadillo now advances to grand finals. 2-0 over Mikasa. Don't forget, Armadillo was down 1-0 against numbers, rallied back, took 2 games. So, Canada, Armadillo representing the northern country here as we get set for losers semifinals here in just a moment. But before that, Charles, you saw, got up out of his seat, moved on over, and Charles is going to break down some action for us over at the prompter. Charles, what do you got for us?
All right, so I have the insane Game 3, the comeback coming out from Armadillo. As you can see, the percentage and the stock counts definitely in favor of numbers here, and Armadillo did a fantastic job. This was a great sequence, ending with the edge guard here to bring this back to even stocks. And like E said, as long as the stocks are even, Lucario will always have a chance. So let's go ahead and break down this play here. It all starts off with Armadillo off stage here, so we can go ahead and play the clip here. Off stage, we're going to use the extreme speed to get back on the stage. Great that it has a hitbox, so dipping underneath here. And then we can pause it right here. Now, the deep breathing is coming out from John Numbers. Now, deep breathing, very good in many aspects. It's great defensively and offensively, right? Because you get that buff, and it also stalls you out in the air. So you see a lot of Wii Fit players, right after they get hit, they'll try to set up the deep breathing for free. Armadillo being very aware of that. You already see the jump coming out from Armadillo. So Armadillo wants to get out here and punish John Numbers for going for this deep breathing. So we can go ahead and play the clip. Goes off stage here and gets the down air. Right after this down air connects, you almost think that John Numbers loses the stock, but Armadillo wants to reset back to ledge. So we can go ahead and pause it here. So we see John Numbers utilizing that double jump, trying to get close to the stage as possible. And this is one of the key things about edge guarding in Smash Brothers. You want to be able to reset back to this ledge as fast as possible, because when you go ahead and snap that ledge, everything refreshes. You get your double jump back, you get all your resources back. So because of that, Armadillo is able to get back on stage and really set up this edge guard. So we can go ahead and play the clip here. Goes ahead and uses the intangibility from normal getup to avoid the header, and then we pause right here. So incredible job. Uses the intangibility here to avoid the header pressure from Wii Fit, because Wii Fit loves to throw all these different projectiles at you when you're trying to set up the edge guard. Great timing on that, and then is able to run off the stage and then set up that Aura Sphere using the B reverse to dip underneath the stage, get that one hitbox of the Aura Sphere, and then comboing it into the back here. Such a powerful move from Lucario. So go ahead and finish the clip and we can watch the stock get taken here. Incredible. And then Armadillo goes ahead and then wins this game. So incredible stuff from all of our competitors here. And we get to see all these different unique characters, really loving all the action. Lucario all the way grand finals. Very, weird character here, but just very fun to watch as well. So if you guys want to see some more Smash action, make sure to stay tuned.